Many legends revolve around the Pic de Bugarach, a mountain in South France. As with many mountains, be they inside or outside the United States, strange disappearances in the region get linked to this place. But conspiracies regarding this particular mountain go far deeper than just some disappearances. Landing spots for UFOs, a sanctuary of the Freemasons, and a supposed connection to Jesus Christ himself are only a few examples of strange tales revolving around this mountainous region. Some of these stories are pretty fun, but others are full-blown conspiracies with alleged murders to cover up secrets. If you want to see a combination of medieval history and conspiracy theories, then stay tuned. It isn't known when or where this belief originated, but some groups of people believe that this mountain will be the only safe spot when the apocalypse begins. You ask why this mountain is the only safe spot on Earth? Well, because aliens will come to save you with their spaceships if you wait for them on the peak of the mountain. This idea of aliens saving you plays into the conspiracy that the Pic de Bugarach is some kind of airport for UFOs. Now you might ask, do people really believe in these alien stories? Let's turn back the clock to 2012. You might remember that back then many people believed the world was gonna end. This was mainly due to the famous Mayan calendar that ended in 2012, leading people to believe that the Mayans predicted the apocalypse. And believe it or not, hundreds, if not thousands of people gathered on top of this mountain on December 21st, 2012. Some witnesses claim that these people were mainly esoteric groups and some cults. Apparently they performed rituals and dances to welcome their alien saviors. The idea that aliens will save a chosen group of people, of course, plays into the concept of alien death cults. Luckily, in this case, no mass killings or something similar happened. As a matter of fact, no one died or vanished that day, because as you might have noticed, the world didn't actually end back in 2012. It is not known where these strong beliefs originated from. But since we are here to hear some strange conspiracies, I will list off some stories that might have helped to establish such beliefs. On the mountain and in the region surrounding it, there have been some disappearances in the past. Not many of them, but in most cases, there were no traces found of those who disappeared. You could pin those disappearances on hiking accidents or murders, but some people in the region connect them to the alien mythos. Many people claim that they have seen strange lights flying around the mountain, and some even say that they have seen full-blown UFOs landing on top of it. So this is probably one of the reasons for the alien apocalypse stories. Next up, I want to talk about the Catholic Church, religious artifacts, Freemasons, and the alleged murder of a researcher to cover up an archaeological secret. If all that sounds completely crazy to you, then you are completely right. Between the 12th and 14th century, the Cathars lived in southern France and followed their own beliefs. Cathars believed that the good God was the God of the New Testament faith and creator of the spiritual realm. The evil God was seen as Satan, the master of the physical world. This belief clashed with the Catholic Church, so they did the usual thing, starting a crusade and massacring basically every Cathar. However, according to ancient legends, the Cathars had a mystical treasure that could destroy the church. And this supposedly was the real reason why they had to be annihilated. It is said that before they were slaughtered, a small group of them hid this treasure somewhere in the region. This detail also brings us to a place many of you might know from the Da Vinci Code movies, Rennes-le-Château. This old church was once said to hold this treasure, and some even suggest that it might have been the Holy Grail. Rennes-le-Château is only about 23 miles away from Pic de Bugarach, and many believe that this treasure was not hidden in the famous chateau, but rather the lesser-known mountain. It would take several centuries until someone found the connection between the Cathars and this mountain. Daniel Bittex was a Swiss security officer at the Zurich airport, but his real passion was studying the medieval society of the Cathars. He moved to southern France to research their secrets after his retirement in the 1970s. There, he teamed up with a man called Déodat Rocher, who was the mayor of this region, and a very famous French philosopher. He was even invited by the French Academy of Science to join their ranks, which is one of the greatest honors a French scientist can receive. Déodat Rocher refused this invitation, which was unheard of, because he also wanted to continue studying this secret without getting labeled a conspiracy theorist and nutjob by all his colleagues. Many of you will really like to hear what happened next, because Rocher instead joined the Freemasons. At the time, the Freemasons viewed themselves as the heirs of the Cathars and saw it as their mission to solve their secrets. Through Rocher, David Bettex also came into contact with this organization, and he told them his theories regarding the Pic de Bugarach. The theory states that the Cathars used Rennes-le-Château as a smoking mirror to divert any attention away from the treasure's actual location. And this plan seemingly worked, because many searched Rennes-le-Château, but not Pic de Bugarach. The Freemasons were impressed with his theory and funded his research at the Pic de Bugarach. And by the way, this part is not at all a conspiracy. It's completely official that this group existed and that they openly sponsored Bittex's research. We are not just talking about a 2-week camping trip either. This research went on for years, and a large amount of money was pumped into this project. I highly doubt that the Freemasons would have funded his research if they didn't have an idea of a possible treasure. Probably not some fabled religious treasure, but maybe some conventional treasures. You see, it was proven by archaeologists and geologists that crusaders had visited the cave system beneath the mountain, and some believe that they were searching for the lost gold treasure of the Cathars. This is where we get into the realm of religious conspiracies. The first theory states that this legendary treasure was either the Holy Grail or the Ark of the Covenant. At some point during his research, sent words to the Freemasons and informed them of a new discovery. He claimed to have found a small secret river inside the cave system beneath the mountain. It is a fact that one such underground river runs through the mountain and ends in a large cascade. However, Bittex claimed that he found a different canal that had already dried out. He followed this canal and discovered old quay walls, meaning stone constructions enabling boats to dock. Bittex followed this canal and eventually found ruins of some ancient place. There he found small cave homes, like they have been found in other countries around the world. It almost looked like a hideout, and this is where he supposedly saw cave drawings of the Ark of the Covenant and the Holy Grail, explaining how this rumor came to be. This is where the Holy Grail theory ends, but many believe that he in fact found something important there. After this discovery, Bittex suddenly lost interest in the mountain and instead began to search the nearby Chateau de Bugarach. Many believe that he found an important clue inside that cave. Just imagine this clue as being one part of a greater treasure map that led him to the chateau. The Chateau de Bugarach is a really old church in the region, once again with connection to the Crusades and Cathars. On the walls of this particular church were many different symbols from the 15th century, including swastikas, crusader symbols, and a wheel above a ship, which is really important. The most interesting part about this chateau was its small chapelle. This chapelle features the small window you can see on the screen. Such stained glass windows are relatively normal in old churches, but this one is somewhat special. You see, this window depicts a wheel above a ship similar to the markings found on the chateau walls. For outsiders and people with no knowledge of religious legends, this symbol is meaningless. However, this symbol is connected to an old legend in southern France. And this is where we get to our second theory of what the great treasure is. According to this legend, Jesus survived his crucifixion and traveled to France together with Mary Magdalene, using a small sailing ship before retiring somewhere in the region of Bugarach without anyone knowing. To be honest, this isn't entirely correct, because according to the legends, a group of faithful men knew this secret and guards it to this day. At some point, Jesus and Mary both died, and this faithful group vowed to protect their tombs. If we believe this wild theory for a second, that would mean that descendants of this group later became crusaders and protected this secret from the Cathars. I know this sounds completely crazy, but I couldn't resist talking about conspiracies literally featuring Jesus Christ. Either way, beneath the Chateau de Bugarach, Bittex found even more tunnels and went on to study them. From his research, we know that he found even more markings of the Ark of the Covenant in these tunnels, and even created life-size reproductions of them. Around the same time, it was rumored that Bittex had been approached by the Israeli general, Moshe Dayan, who seemed to know something. He supposedly warned Bittex of the Ark's powerful magic, and that some secrets should not be uncovered. And this is where this story takes a dark turn. A few days later, he contacted the secretary of the Freemason organization, Lucienne Julien. The woman had been his advisor for years and always described him as a very calm, emotionless man. However, on this particular day, he called her in a state of ecstasy. He claimed that he had finally made a fabulous discovery. The only thing he disclosed over the phone was that his discovery was somehow linked to the graffitis he had found, remains of a broken heart and a mining tunnel that had seemingly been collapsed on purpose. Before he hung up, he said, "I'm almost at the end of my search. At most, only 4 or 5 days separate me from my final goal." Bittex also promised that he would return to the organization after years of research, with a small part of said treasure in his hands. His last words were, "You will be immensely rich." It sounded like he finally made a groundbreaking discovery, and that might have even found the fabled treasure of Pic de Bugarach. You probably ask yourself what the treasure was: an alien, the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, Jesus' tomb, or just a bunch of gold. Sadly, we will never find out, because only 3 days later, David Bittex was found dead. The circumstances of his death are a mystery in itself, and there are no official reports regarding it. Most people claim that he was found dead on or inside the mountain. Some claim that a dying Bittex crawled back to the village, where he then died of a heart attack. One person said that he had simply returned to Switzerland and died there peacefully. Following his death, even more weird things happened. The Freemasons were obviously shocked by the loss of their best researcher, especially since he had talked about a great discovery. They officially requested to continue Bittex excavations, but the town suddenly refused, claiming that Bittex's death made any research of the chateau too dangerous. No one knew where Bittex had made his discovery, and his body wasn't found in the chateau either. So it's quite strange that the chateau was even connected to his death in the first place. And if that wasn't strong enough, it was decided to close off all caves and tunnels beneath Pic de Bugarach with several feet thick concrete. It is now completely impossible to enter this tunnel system without heavy machinery. In the end, this secret was never solved. But I still want to talk about some of the theories regarding his death. The first, and in my opinion, least plausible theory, is that Wittek simply went back to Switzerland without notifying anyone. Supporters of this theory claim that Wittek lied about his great discovery and came to the conclusion that the treasure doesn't exist. Because the Freemasons had invested quite a lot of money into his research, he was afraid of their wrath. So he stalled for some time with this supposed discovery and fled back home. I reject this theory completely because for me personally, the man was too involved in this project to just quit. He devoted most of his life to this project, and I find it highly unlikely that he just woke up one day and lost interest. Either way, let's get to theory number 2, which is more of a fantastical one. This theory suspects that Wittek actually found some kind of holy relic, or at least a clue as to where they are. It doesn't necessarily mean that he found a magical object that can destroy the church. Just finding old tombs, a piece of the Ark of the Covenant, or some kind of holy book might have been enough for some people to see him as a threat. You see, this theory states that till this day, a group of either Catholics or Cathars is still protecting whatever is hidden in Bugarach. When Wittek found the tunnel they had previously collapsed, they feared that the secret might be revealed and decided to dispose of him. In this scenario, they simply waited for him on the Pic de Bugarach and pushed him off a cliff or something, making it seem like an accident. If you ask me, this theory is more plausible except for the whole religious artifact part. That's why I am a fan of the third and final theory. Here we also assume that a secret organization is protecting some kind of secret in Bugarach. However, not some magical relic, but simply money. You see, there are many legends regarding the Cathars hiding their gold, jewels, and other valuables from the Crusaders. Officially, this treasure has never been found. However, if you indulge my ramblings for a moment, I would like to present you with a possible theory that connects all the dots. Back in the 16th century, the Cathars successfully hid their valuables inside a tunnel system beneath Bugarach. This treasure was eventually found by miners or whoever. However, this person or group of people decided not to tell anyone about what they had found. Remember, if you find historical treasures, the government will seize them. With that in mind, this group of people formed a secret organization. They would all take small parts of this treasure over a fixed time period, just enough money to live a peaceful, wealthy life, but not enough to alert authorities. Or, to put it simply, they basically became rich by wisely using the treasure of Cathars. Of course, they also collapsed the tunnel so that no one would make the same accidental discovery they had made. Now, skip to the present day. An obnoxious researcher actually managed to decipher Cathars' clues and found the entrance to where the treasure is hidden. And to make matters worse, he is about to inform a relatively large and influential organization about his findings. So this group does what shady conspirators do best: they kill him, again making it look like an accident. Afterwards, they use their influence in the region, as well as Wittek's death, to ban anyone from doing the same research. And just to be sure, they decide to seal off any tunnels in Bugarach under the notion of wanting to protect civilians. Now you might ask, how do they get to the treasure if the tunnels are sealed? There are two possible answers to this question. One explanation would be that they had already taken the entire treasure out of the caves a long time ago. All the cover-ups were only necessary because they don't want anyone questioning their wealth. Just imagine government officials would find the hiding place and discover evidence that a treasure must have been there. They will instantly begin to investigate people in the region, which is rather problematic if you are hiding a medieval treasure. It's far easier to treat the whole treasure thing like a legend, because then no one will take it seriously. And the few weirdos who actually believe in it, like David Bittex, can be disposed of if necessary. Another explanation revolves around the large underground systems in the region. The tunnels in Bugarach might be sealed, but not the entire region's cave system. In fact, modern geological research shows that the tunnels Bittex might have found are connected to another cave in the region named Font de Dots. With enough experience, you could use this cave to reach the treasure and take a small amount home every time you visit. Anyway, this is all I have to say about this topic for now. I just happened to stumble upon this topic and was amazed by all the different crazy conspiracies regarding a single mountain. I mean, who could resist talking about aliens and Jesus Christ in one thematically connected video?